All right, guys, I think we're about ready to kick off here. Good to see you two again. Long time no talk.
Yes, sir. Always good.
Indeed. Another exciting webinar.
That's it. We'll give folks a chance to log in here. Of course, it'll be recorded, but we also love live questions. We'll do our best to field some of those, maybe during the LinkedIn Live here, maybe after the fact. Either way, we'll certainly get them answered for everybody. A few more seconds here. And our theme of Agentic, right? It's all everybody talking about, and we're certainly very excited about it and the new opportunities it's bringing.
True.
I know we're here to get these out, these webinars and demos and a lot of things that we're doing here. So I'll go ahead and kick us off. Hopefully everybody was able to log in and get things moving. Good afternoon, everybody. Appreciate y'all hopping again. This is our third LinkedIn Live in a similar series. If you didn't catch the previous two, we focused on denials management and prior authorization. If you're on this call, you understand a lot of the challenges around some of these processes that are out there. And what we're doing through these LinkedIn Live sessions is talking a little bit about the industry challenges, the particular processes at hand here, some of the challenges that we're seeing as opportunity to really enhance a number of different things that we'll talk about. And if you hadn't gone back to those previous two, they're certainly out there. Again, denials management prop. Today, we're going to be talking about how do we optimize claim processing using some of the latest and greatest technology that's out there around process automation, which includes, what we've been doing for a long time and what a lot of folks are familiar with, which is robotic process automation. But now we're really including a lot of AI technology, specifically agentic automation agents. It's no longer just something being talked about. It's very real. It's here. We are using it. Our customers are using it. We're very excited about it. It's really increasing the opportunity for, or I say the potential for increased automation across some of these challenging processes. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So by way of introduction, as it says there on the screen, my name is Cletus Kilker. I'm the Director of Sales here at Accelerate, focused on our Healthcare and Life Sciences division that is called AcceleHealth. So you might see those two different logos, but we are Accelerate with that healthcare focus through AcceleHealth. And with me is Jonathan Leon and Nathaniel Lisko. John, I will let you go ahead and introduce yourself quickly, and then we can pass it to Nat.
Sure thing. My name is Jonathan Leon. I'm a senior solution process architect here at Accelerate for the Healthcare and Life Sciences division. I've been here for about 2 years now. I'm mainly partnering up with clients that become our customers to go ahead and really give the introduction on automation, kind of walk them through that journey, help identify potentials, and then really just make sure the processes are understood so that we can go ahead and develop solutions. Prior to joining Accelerate, I've been within the healthcare industry on the IT side for the past 2 decades, mainly supporting revenue cycle departments. So anywhere from scheduling all the way down to billing. Really, like I said, more on the technology side, but in working with those departments for so long, I've understood a lot of the operations. So I kind of have that understanding of how operations and technology work together to really change and transform the way we work today. You.
Go ahead, Nat.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nathaniel Lisko. Most of my colleagues and friends call me Nat. I have been an automation business analyst with Accelerate for 4 years. I have experience in various healthcare domains such as population health, revenue cycle, clinical application testing, and hospital quality.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. So we have some experts here, some subject matter experts, which is always great. What you guys can expect from the next 20 or so minutes is an overview of the challenges that we're seeing in claims processing, how we are leveraging some of the technology, specifically agents and agentic automation, to address some of these challenges. A lot of these things you're going to be familiar with, otherwise you probably wouldn't be on this session. But then we're going to quickly dive into what is the technology, and then we're going to show you different variations of these processes that will show, how might that process be done today, which is completely manual. What might that process look like if we add robotic process automation, or more traditional automation? And then also the utopia that we're looking for is more, or getting closer to, straight through processing, leveraging robotic process automation, agentic, and then of course people are still involved there to lead as well. So you'll get a good snapshot of what that looks like throughout a process. And I'm going to get us going here. I won't spend too much time here. If you're on the call, like I mentioned, you're familiar with some of the challenges here around claims processing. Of course, it's a very critical process. A lot relies on successful processing, timely processing. Customers are looking for less errors, faster cycle times. How do we get these done more quickly, more accurately? I always say, I certainly, it's rare that I meet a manager that has 5 employees that doesn't need 10 to handle the workload that they're having, and to catch them up. And rather than looking to continuously hire and train new people, we're really leveraging technology to create a lot of that increased productivity that teams need. So on the left-hand side here, you can see high denial rates. We all know what that turns into. At the end of the day, it's affecting patients. It's affecting revenue that organizations are able to identify and to recoup. It's really a trickle-down effect when we have those types of challenges. Manual workflows, we all know that not only can they be tedious, but they slow things down and they're very error-prone. So we're looking at ways, how do we reduce the manual pieces of these processes in an accurate way? Real-time visibility, obviously that's very key. We're working in real time. We want our productivity, we want our reporting, we want the feedback that we get to be real time as well. A lot of opportunity there to help with operational efficiency when we can pull that off. Department silos, so often one department's doing one thing, the other department's expecting something different. We want to be able to streamline a lot of that from communication to outcomes. And then payer rules, right? This has been talked about quite a bit, even in the news over the last several weeks. What are we expecting in terms of what do we need? What bar do we need to meet for those payers to get these things done? How do we stay on top of those things when those rules are changing? And this is another great way to address that challenge as well. Let me find the next slide here. Benefits, I talked about a lot of these here. You can kind of see them on the left. What's more impressive is on the right-hand side where we can see the bar graph. A big one is delays. If we can reduce delays drastically, we all know how that can impact the organization, from the folks on the provider side to the payer side, all the way down to the patients and the families receiving that care. Again, going back to speed, that's a huge benefit to automation in general. We increase that automation potential and things get even faster. So we're looking at 3 times faster pre-auth resolution, 2 times faster, fewer escalations. And then of course, productivity, we're taking people out of some of that mundane, tedious work, leveraging that through automation, through bots, through agents, increasing their productivity without having to increase their headcount there. Jonathan, you're in the day-to-day. How can you speak to some of these perhaps in the real world versus just this slide here?
Yeah, like in my experiences, I guess one of the big things, like you said, is just kind of boosting the productivity. At the same time, I guess I call it's like an increase in throughput. So on a given day, if a team of 5, like you said, can work X amount of data or transactions in a given time, or a day you've now maybe double that or so, because you have also these digital employees or digital assistants that are working alongside the teams, getting more work done. and just kind of making that team overall productive. You can increase efficiency, you can reduce errors because, again, those digital employees are sticking to their strict guidelines and rules. So it kind of really just elevates a team to newer levels. Makes the organization overall more productive, and we're keeping people happy at all different levels, right? So the employees happier, upper management, everyone else is happier just because there's more being done properly. It's a win-win all around.
That's right, and that's not a metric that's always measured in a great way because it can be subjective, right? But when we are able to enable our teams, our employees to do more of the work they like to do, more of the work that they were hired to do, where they're using their experience and their knowledge to make an impact on their organization, and they're less in the weeds on those tedious, very manual type of work, the employee experience really does skyrocket. Of course, we all know how important that is, and that's just another benefit of being able to automate more, really. I won't continue talking about these things, but where I want to focus here is on the automation value. We did talk a little bit about that. First one here on the right-hand side, we're increasing accuracy, right? We're automating the policy handling time. Accuracy is up. Process life cycle is down and shorter. A lot of benefits there. Automation is also going to reduce costs, right? There's cost to errors, not just the work that's being done to get things done, but every time there's an error, for every error, there might be an X amount of hours, or X amount percentage increase in how much more time we have to spend on those pieces of work. We might have to loop in and escalate, and now we're bringing in other team members, we're bringing in managers. That cycle time just went from 7 days to 12 days because of that error. So they can be very costly. Harder to measure, but certainly more costly if you can measure those and get a good idea of what that looks like for your organization. That's a great metric to look at and try to reduce over time. And then really we're talking about scalability. So whether it's seasonal work or in high growth mode, it's a lot easier in a lot of ways to look at technology to help you scale versus traditional BPO, for example, or hiring internally, training and going through that. Technology can really enable us to scale in a quick way and very often a much more cost-effective way. So getting closer here to what do these processes look like? What is the opportunity here? This is a high-level overview of what a traditional process could look like, or at least pieces of those processes. Going left to right, you see receiving the claim, assessment of the application, and payment processing. Each has its own nuances. Each have a great opportunity to leverage, whether it's bots through RPA or agents through agentic automation, to address some of the challenges. You can see the challenge there in the middle row, or the middle columns, excuse me. We're going to look at labor-intensive activities. We're going to look at how can we reduce the backlog of work that's being done, and that goes back to that cycle time. How do we catch up? How do we help our employees catch up on the work? And then what is that impact to the organization if we can have things get done in 10 days versus 30 days? And then that last one there, delays in payment. Of course, that's the challenge that we're trying to solve here. That gets us closer to revenue. And it really helps that downstream from the provider to payer to patient, like I talked about. And then that bottom row there, those three columns, the solution. Overall, we're looking to reduce the effort, right? The manual effort required by the employees, reduce that backlog and get to a faster claim resolution. This will be here. We can share this. You guys can look at all the details within this slide here. I won't go through too much more, but that should be hopefully a good recap for you. Now, in terms of the technology that we're talking about, I mentioned a few times, we have robots, traditional RPA. I'm sure most of the folks here are familiar with that. And then we also have agents, and we're using agents more and more to increase that automation potential. There are plenty of automated processes that were done just a year ago that we are reevaluating to identify where are all those areas that the bot perhaps could handle and we had to leverage human loop? It was a great opportunity. Maybe there was 60% automation potential in that process. We're reevaluating them. Where can we apply an agent to continue to take the human out of that part of the process to increase the automation potential? And that's where agents come in. So we're looking at the UiPath suite. We're a diamond partner with UiPath. We're very excited about their platform in general, the vision, their execution of that, of which is why they continue to be the leader in just about every quadrant that you're going to see. Very excited about their platform, leveraging it very well across the board. And these are the two things that we're going to be talking about in terms of technology from the UiPath platform. How do these all work together? Jonathan's going to be talking more about this when and Nat, when he goes through some examples of what do these processes look like when they're fully manual, what do they look like when they're leveraging just RPA, and what do they look like when they're leveraging these three that you see on the screen, right? So agents are there, they're doing some of the decision making that humans are often looped in to do, right? They're taking, the technology is taking some of the information, some of the tools that it has at its disposal, and it's leveraging those tools to help make decisions. Robots are doing a lot of that work, some of that tedious manual work that you've historically seen over the last several years of robots doing through RPA. And the people aren't going away. The people are leading this process. They are involved still in the process. They are still looped into some capacity, but the combination of agents and robots is allowing the people to make faster decisions, to make better decisions, and to really have an overall more streamlined process throughout that entire life cycle of that process. I think we're going to transition over to you, Jonathan, kind of take a lot of what we talked about today, or to this point, I should say, and explain a little bit better with some visuals here on some of the things I was just touching on.
Yep. Thanks, Cletus. Okay, so with this slide, we just want to show the evolution of how this workflow can be enhanced, as Cletus mentioned, as we're incorporating different levels of technology. So at the top row, we have the fully manual process. Today, many organizations are still managing this process manually. So every step you're seeing here, claims creation, claim submission, payer acknowledgement and initial response, and claim adjudication, it's all handled by people, which can be time consuming and prone to delays. But now if we introduce RPA, so by adding robotic process automation, certain repetitive steps like your claim submissions and handling payer acknowledgements can be performed by bots. So humans now focus on reviewing results. They're addressing exceptions and managing errors. So we're reducing the overall manual effort. And the last row you see there, we're adding AI into the mix. So when we integrate like AI alongside RPA, automation becomes like even more intelligent and proactive. AI can help with claim creation. It can predict payer responses, identify potential issues before submission, and even guide adjudication. So this means now the human involvement is mainly at the final validation stage, ensuring accuracy and compliance. So like Cletus said in the slide before, we're not eliminating people. We still need them there. They're just handling more of the validation steps, allowing them the time to really focus on the workflow that really requires their true skill sets and kind of gets them out the weeds, like we said. If we can go over to the next slide, please.
Did I go too far?
Okay, so no, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I have a little delay on my end. Oh, we're good. So here, these are the 4 AI and automation agents that we're proposing within the claims process. So you want to think of these as like your digital teammates. They're here to support your staff, again, not replace them. Starting from the left here, we'll have our first agent, which would be the claims creation agent. So the role of this agent would be to gather patient, coding, and billing data. It's going to run claim scrubbing to catch errors early. And as we all know, fewer errors up front is going to mean fewer denials downstream and less time spent reworking claims. Moving on to the next agent, we'll have our claim submission agent. So this one's going to route claims to the right payer automatically. It'll log confirmation and manage resubmissions instantly. So now we have no more waiting days to discover a rejected file. The agent's going to catch it and fix it immediately. Our third agent is going to be the payer acknowledgement agent. This role is going to, or the role of this one is going to be to review payer responses, whether it be accepted, rejected, pending. It's going to classify and suggest next steps based on things like patterns or historical data. So what this is going to do, it's going to turn that overwhelming flood of payer messages into more clearer and prioritized like to-do lists. And then lastly, we'll have the claims adjudication agent. This one's going to review the remittance advice. It's going to understand payments to be posted. It'll flag denials to our denials agents. Shameless plug. If you haven't seen that video, go ahead and check it out. But we can now have agent to agent communication with these two, and it'll draft some suggested appeals. So ultimately, we're going to be speeding up payment posting and get appeals moving faster, improving cash flow. So overall, together, these agents will reduce repetitive work. They're going to accelerate processing and give staff more time for the complex cases that really need their human expertise. The end result's just going to end up being like fewer bottlenecks, faster reimbursements, and overall happier teams. We can go to the next slide. We'll go ahead and start doing a deeper dive into each one of these agents. All right, so the first agent that I'll be speaking about, this is going to be the claims creation agent. It's really where a clean claim begins. And we all know if a claim starts out incomplete or with bad data, it's just a matter of time before it ends up being denied or delayed. So this agent's whole job is to make sure we're starting strong. Step one is to gather and validate inputs. So this agent is going to pull all key information, your patient details, your provider info, insurance coverage. It's going to pull it from the different systems that's being used out there today. So let's say your EHR, your billing systems, any third-party applications, all that information is going to be gathered. It'll then check to make sure that all the critical fields are complete and accurate. Things such like your service dates, your MPIs, your member IDs, diagnosis and procedure codes. And if something's missing or doesn't match, it'll flag it right away. The next step will be to apply coding and payer rules. So here's where it gets a little smarter. Using natural language processing or NLP, the agent can read through clinical documentation and suggest the right ICD and CPT codes, even making sure that they're in the correct sequence. So then it'll check the claim against the latest payer requirements, things like whether a certain modifier is needed. Excuse me. And then the great part is that these rules are always current, so you're not getting caught off guard by any policy changes. This step will keep the claims compliant the first time, which means fewer rejections and a much smoother cash flow. And then the last step you see here, this will now be to assemble the clean claim and handle any exceptions. So once everything checks out, the agent builds a submission-ready 837 file, whether it's a professional or an institutional claim. It's automatically going to link any required documentation if needed. If it finds something that still needs attention, like a missing auth, it won't just stop. It'll send that exception straight to the right work queue so the right person can handle it without delays. So by this time, the claim is going to move on over to the next agent, which will be the submission agent. It's truly ready to go, and it'll drive a higher first pass yield and gets reimbursements in faster. So the bottom line is this. By automating the front end of the claims creation, we're setting up the rest of the process for success. We're reducing errors, and we're giving your teams more time to focus on the claims that actually need their expertise. I'm going to hand it off to Nat now so that he can talk about the next agent a little more in detail.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. So now that each claim has been validated and staged, we'll start looking at how agentic automation can help ensure that our compliant 837 files are submitted to the correct payer or clearinghouse. First, the submission routing agent will read each claim staged and apply centralized routing logic to ensure that the appropriate payer endpoint or preferred clearinghouse is selected. Next, an EDI packaging RPA bot will format the record to the required X12 837 type and apply payer-specific validations. If supporting documentation is required, such as clinical notes, authorizations, or attachments, the document bundling agent will append and link them automatically using the 275 transactions or secure portal uploads. Claims are then submitted over secure channels such as payer or clearinghouse web portals, SFTP, or API. Immediately after submission, the acknowledgement harvesting agent will check for acknowledgements, parse out the responses, update claim status in real time, and route any rejections into an exception queue. For routine formatting rejections, the remediation agent will correct the EDI. It will regenerate a clean 837 and resubmit with full audit metadata. For complex failures requiring manual review, an Action Center work item will be generated with a notification sent to the appropriate personnel. So now let's move on to the next phase where we start receiving payer responses. We can take a look at the next slide. I don't know if it's lagging on my side. There we go.
A little lagging, yeah.
All right. All right, so after claims are submitted, a retrieval agent continuously monitors clearinghouse APIs and secure mailboxes for TA1s, 999s, and 277 CAs. As each file arrives, the agent will match to the original transmission ID, archive the raw file for audit, and update the claim status to acknowledged or rejected. Now, when a rejection appears, a document understanding agent will extract STC segments and error codes and map them to plain language reasons from a central directory. A classification agent will then decide whether the issue is a front-end problem with something related to formatting or data, or a back-end problem, such as an issue with coverage or authorization. Now, once classified, a flag and notify agent will create a fully populated work item. These will be classified either as resubmit, which would be the designation for tasks such as front-end fixes with corrective instructions, or clinical review for tasks involving back-end denials that include required attachments and SLA deadlines. Automated reminders and escalation rules will keep things moving until closure. Now, meanwhile, a monitoring agent keeps UiPath Action Center and the ticketing system in sync with live dashboards. This will ensure visibility on current statuses and SLAs in real time. Now, these automated analytics will refresh business intelligence reports on a schedule, and this will trigger alerts when rejection rates or specific error codes spike abnormally. So working together systematically, these capabilities turn troublesome payer responses into clean, auditable work items so that issues are resolved faster and no cases go unaddressed. And now finally, this brings us to the adjudication phase, which we will look at on the next slide. So now that remittances are flowing in, adjudication will cover three crucial points. Was the claim paid? How much was posted? And what needs an appeal? So starting with remittance review, a remittance adaptation agent will ingest ERA or EOB batches, parse the 835, and determine whether each claim was paid in full, partially paid, adjusted, or denied. The agent will apply COB rules when a secondary payer exists. Primary EOB details will be linked, and any coverage or payment discrepancies will be flagged. Next, a posting agent will post matched payments and contractual adjustments to the patient account and create necessary ledger entries. Any zero match or multi-match lines will become focused exception items in UiPath Action Center for billing specialists to review further. So the agent will then reconcile posted totals to the adjudication summary and identify variances for investigation so that expected versus actual reimbursement will balance. Lastly, a denial resolution agent will analyze denial reason codes, map them to root causes, and prioritize appeals by dollar impact and overturn likelihood. For routine appeals, the agent will assemble evidence and draft the packet. Now, for clinical or high-value denials, it will trigger a clinical escalation agent to gather charts, identify documentation gaps against payer policy or national guidance, and route indexed cases to clinicians or medical director liaisons. And this concludes our Agentic overview of claims processing. I will hand the floor back to Cletus.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that walkthrough. Hopefully that was helpful for everybody watching. Should hopefully be enlightening on how we're leveraging agents in different pieces of these processes. Again, this is very real things. We're excited to do demos. We're doing a lot of work with our customers as well, so we can certainly talk more in depth about your particular process or challenge, or how you're leveraging these technologies. Being cognizant of time, I'll get us through here the last few slides. So in terms of Accelerate, specifically Accelerhealth, we're seeing more and more work being done across providers and payers for processes just like this. We have a large team of industry experts like Jonathan, like Nat here. We're backed by about 600 or so employees and engineers, certified UiPath specialists to help us be very knowledgeable at the expert level across the UiPath platform. And of course, our SMEs that are experts across these different processes within RCM. And our focus, kind of skipping around here, really is time to value and ROI. ROI is not always dollars. It can be things that equate to dollars, of course, but we're very focused on time to value of adding capacity, increasing productivity, reducing errors, increasing that employee experience as well. Box number 4 here, end-to-end support. We really set out early on as an organization to be specialists across the entire process automation life cycle. So that's from idea. We have an idea of a potential area that we can automate. We can help our customers identify what is the true potential there, what is the potential for automation, what is that potential ROI. Of course, we do the analysis, the design, the documentation. We implement the automations. We do testing and UAT, and we take it through hypercare. And then on the back end of all that, we can provide support services. Many of our customers, they say, hey, we want our teams focusing on identifying new opportunities, delivering new opportunities. You guys can go ahead and handle the support aspect once they're in production. So it's really been something that we've been focused on across the board for the last 8 years. And now with a very, very keen focus on healthcare across providers, payers, and life sciences. Impact of AI-powered solutions. Of course, this really changes the game when we can introduce agents into these workflows. You can see some of the numbers there on the left. Again, I don't think you'd be on this call if you also didn't understand the challenges and the potential here, but this really is where our focus is. How can we leverage the latest and greatest technology here to increase a lot of the benefits that come from these types of automated solutions? And that's really where our focus is, and that it's going to remain for a while now as we continue to see the evolution of AI, especially agentic automation in the market. And then a little bit of a call to action. We're happy to talk about your particular process, maybe a piece of your process, maybe a business unit that might be struggling due to capacity or capability limitations. We're happy to take a look at those things, talk through what are you working through, what technologies are you leveraging, and how might we be able to help specifically to claims processing. Of course, our previous sessions on denials management and prior authorizations, as well as many other aspects of RCM. Let's set up a call. Happy to be a sounding board or give you some ideas or even assess particular processes that you might have in your pipeline. That's it for me. Appreciate everybody's time here today. Jonathan, Nat, appreciate the subject matter expertise that you guys bring to it. If anybody wants to have that conversation, you can certainly expect to see Jonathan or Nat again, and we'll loop in the right folks on our side to have a good, healthy conversation with you all as those come up. Thanks for everybody's time. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, guys.
Have a good day, everyone.